34. I will read them through. You're welcome to chant along, because you can also read them on the screen. Let's begin with our invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 50, Text 30. Jagraha Viratam Ramo Jarasandam Mahabalam Antani Kabasistasum Simha Simham Abojasa. Jarasandha, with his chariot lost and his soldiers dead, was left with only his breath. At that point, Lord Balaram forcibly seized the powerful warrior, just as one lion takes hold of another. Very dramatic language and a simile that Sukadeva Goswami has provided. We can imagine two lions fighting with one another. Text 31. Madhyamanam hataratim pasar varuna manusai varayam asa govindas tena karya chikirshaya. With the divine noose of Varuna and other mortal ropes, Balaram began tying up Jarasandha, who had killed so many foes. But Lord Govinda still had a purpose to fulfill through Jarasandha, and thus he asked Balaram to stop. We have a commentary. The word hataratim means one who has killed his enemies, or through whom his enemies would be killed. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has provided this thoughtful note. So the noose of Varuna and other mortal ropes, these are very powerful constraints that Kshatriyas can deploy, not just an ordinary rope, but with a mantra, invoking the power of Varuna. We find these in the Bhagavatam used at different times. Aniruddha, he was bound by Manasura using the Nagapasa, the snake rope. And here, Balaram's using the Varuna Pasa, a rope of Varuna. Text 32 to 33. Sabukto lokanatabhyam bridito virasamata tavase krita sankalpo varitai pantirajabi pakyai pavartha pardair nayanar prakritarapi svakarma vanda praptoyam yarobiste prabhavana. Jarasandha, whom fighters had highly honored, was ashamed after being released by the lords of the universe, and thus he decided to undergo penances. On the road, however, several kings convinced him with both spiritual wisdom and mundane arguments that he should give up the idea of self-abnegation. They told him, your defeat by the Yarus was simply the unavoidable reaction of your past karma. And this will be the last verse we read today. Hateshu sarvanikeshu nripa baharadastada upeksheto bhagavata magadandurmanayayo. All of his armies having been killed and himself neglected by the personality of Godhead, King Jarasandha, son of Brihadratha, then sadly returned to the kingdom of the Magadhas. We can imagine Jarasandha's disappointment here. He's returning back from the battlefield alone. He had amassed a huge army. And despite that superior military force, uh, 23 Akshohini divisions. One Akshohini, according to Mahabharata, means 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 65,610 horses, 109, 350,000 infantry. He had 23 of those. And now he returns from the battlefield alone, his head hanging in shame. Krishna didn't even allow him to be killed on the battlefield, which is considered, it's, the consolation prize for a Kshatriya. Krishna tells Arjuna in the Gita, you fight and you're victorious, okay, that's your glory. If you lose, you get killed on the battlefield, that's also victorious for a Kshatriya. You will be transferred to the heavenly planets. There is no greater glory for a Kshatriya than to meet their end on the battlefield. Of course, yeah, the winning the war would be the greater glory, but even defeat, it is considered glorious. But even that was denied him. Instead, he was released like uh, like we might tie up an animal, like Bhima might tie up one of his horses and take it somewhere and then release it into the next paddock, into the next field. Here, Krishna has told Balaram, release this king, this man. And so he walks home, his head hanging in shame. There is so much instruction for us in this pastime. When I teach leadership lessons from the Bhagavad Gita, one of the points I ask leaders to reflect on is the 5 factors of action that Krishna mentions. The 5th factor, Prabhupada talks about in his purports from place to place. The 5th factor of action is Krishna's mercy. And so I ask leaders to reflect on the miracles that they have experienced where Krishna helps them achieve what appears impossible. That's the 5th factor and shouldn't be ruled out. In fact, much of our preaching success, the global expansion of the Hare Krishna movement, when you speak to the devotees, when I speak to these leaders, they'll describe the miracles they have experienced of how people are moved by Krishna's mercy, how a temple might manifest, how a donation might come at a time when just needed, how some insurmountable, insurpassable predicament that the temple finds itself in is overcome by a final last-minute intervention from Krishna's side when the devotees are at the depths of their despair and fully surrendering to Krishna, then Krishna comes to the rescue. And actually, it's one of the best parts of the seminar, because devotees share all of these amazing stories. And so I tell them the point of the exercise, don't overestimate the importance of material strategy and material power and arrangements, and underestimate the power of Krishna's mercy. With Krishna's mercy, we can experience magic every day. We can see miracles every day. Don't forget that as we engage in our strategizing in terms of how we will use material facilities or resources, even in Krishna's service. A great miracle is, of course, Prabhupada's example. We're here in New York City, and we think of Prabhupada coming here at the age of 69 with just a few dollars or rupees and a box of books. And I'm sure if you reflect on your lives, all of us here, we will all have our own stories of Krishna's mercy coming to us and our seeing his mercy unfold before us in a way that defies anything we could even have imagined. And so here we see that in the case of Jarasandha. He represents the material power, the material arrangements. After Kamsa met his fate at Krishna's hands, his queens, Asti and Prapti, they went home to their father to complain that they had been made widows. Their father was Jarasandha, king of Magadha. And so hearing this news, filled with sorrow, with anger, Jarasandha plotted his revenge, and this revenge would be the annihilation of the Yadus. He's assembled this force. He's gotten other kings on side to agree to go along with him. Let's exterminate the Yadus. And so he's been able to assemble this massive army, 23 Akshohini divisions. And with that formidable army, he's laid siege on Mathura, the Yadu capital. On the side protecting Mathura are Krishna and Balaram. Sukadeva Goswami doesn't really describe any great army. As Krishna's looking at Jarasandha's 23 Akshohini divisions and contemplating what to do, then we see a descent of celestial weapons, celestial chariots. This is an indicator already where this victory is going to go. Jarasandha representing the material calculation, the material consideration. And here, Krishna and Balaram, their position is divine. With the descent of their celestial weapons, Krishna's chariot with the flag marked with whom? With Garuda. Balaram's chariot marked with, yes. I'm looking at the chat. I'm not going to leave that one open. And Krishna's Gandiva bow, Balaram's club, Krishna's club, Kaumadaki, all these celestial weapons, they're here indicating divine support when we undertake a mission. For Krishna, when we undertake a mission to protect Dharma, to protect righteousness, then there is divine support on our side. And these weapons, they'll stay with Krishna on earth until you'll see at the very end of his pastimes, 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, after he's been shot in the foot by Jara, then his personified weapons come and stand beside him. It's very powerful imagery. And then Daruka, he's looking for Krishna. He comes in right in on the chariot. Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? And then he sees Krishna under the chariot. He gets off the chariot to come down and pay his obeisances, and whoop, the chariot and all the weapons ascend into Vaikuntha. Mission accomplished. So these weapons, these chariots are returning to the spiritual sky. And so Krishna and Balaram, they defeat Jarasandha's 23 Akshohinis using their celestial weapons. And now Balaram has tied Jarasandha with his Varuna Astra. Varuna, the god of the oceans. The ocean is so powerful. Having grown up in Australia, so we would spend a lot of time in the ocean. Some days more safe than others. Lifeguards with their flags telling us where we can swim, and there will be some oversight, and the currents are less strong. But the ocean is very, very incredibly powerful. And so Balaram's used a rope, a noose, that is invested with a mantra, with the potency of Varuna. He's tied Jarasandha with that. But then Krishna's considered. Krishna has considered. In the very beginning, when he saw um, Jarasanda's 23 Akshohini divisions, he was thinking, how am I going to deal with this? What will be my take? What will be my approach? And then his Sukadev Goswami tells us his thought process. He thinks, well, this demon has brought 23 Akshohini divisions of demon armies, demon forces. There's a bigger story here. The very beginning of the 10th canto, Bhubi raises the alarm to say that the demons have descended on earth in the Kshatriya families, in the royal families, to use the earth to colonize the earth and use it as a launch pad for further universal invasion. They're always trying to take the heavens. With this strategy, they decided we'll take the middle universe first, Bhu, the earthly realm, and then we'll go for Indra's Svarga. And so Bhumi's asked Krishna to come to earth to rid the earth of this burden of these demoniac forces. And as Krishna looks out at Jarasanda's 23 Akshohini divisions, hundreds of thousands of infantry, tens of thousands of chariots and elephants and so on, he thinks, this is very convenient. I don't have to go out and find the demons. They have come to me. And so he tells Balaram, look, we descended for this purpose. Let's go out and fulfill the mission. And that's when the celestial weapons arrive. Now that 23 Akshohini divisions have been slain, but their leader is left. Their one leader, Jarasandha, the organizer, the coordinator, the strategist. Krishna decides, he tells Balaram, let him go. Let him go. Keep that one alive. He will be of further use to us. And so we see Krishna as being very strategic. He's less concerned with the immediate tactical win, and he's looking at the long game. Keep this demon alive, because he's going to help us in our mission. In what way? 18 times. 18 times Jarasandha will regroup, get more demon forces on board, and he'll lead another attack on Mathura, and Krishna will do the same thing again. Kill all of those armies and leave Jarasandha alive. And Jarasandha will go out and find another army, come back, lay siege again, and yeah, he'll keep batting his head against. He's very determined to try. That's the envy of the demons. Very determined. When we look at Jarasandha's determination, there's something there as well. There's something for us to reflect on. Jarasandha is so determined. He meets with defeat every single time. After the Kurukshetra war, Yudhisthira was so devastated, he didn't want to sit on the throne. He was so saddened that so many men had lost their lives fighting a war on his behalf. That is the nature of the Vaishnava. Para sukha sukhi, saddened seeing the sadness of others. Dukkha dukhi. Or happy to see the happiness of others. Para sukha sukhi. Here, Jarasandha keeps leading these waves of armies to attack Krishna, only to see them meet their end And yet he's prepared to bring together another army to see so many other hundreds of thousands killed, slaughtered on the battlefield for his purpose. For what? What is it actually that he's fighting for? He's fighting because he has a grudge. His daughters were made widows. They were married to Kamsa. So he has a grudge. Krishna killed my son-in-law. I'm going to get revenge. That's the at least ostensive purpose that he has. More deeply, we will say it's an envy of God. That's the deeper condition of the living entity in the material nature, in the material world. And so if we look more deeply, we might also see ourselves. Jarasanda's repeat attempts to enjoy or to assert his dominance, to defeat God and place himself in the position or of the supreme enjoyer, to replace God with Jarasandha, king of Magadha. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he tells us that Jarasandha's 18 attempts to defeat Krishna at Mathura indicate the 18 ritual samskaras of the karma kanda process. We're not against samskaras. It's a Vedic process. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making a point. It's the karma process. It's the mundane Vedic process of piety. And even demons can use the Vedic principles or practices towards their materialistic ends. We see Jarasandha and his colleagues could also be very philosophical. When he was feeling depressed, walking with his head hanging in shame, he initially decided, I'm going to renounce it all. That's one take that we have towards material frustration. I give it all up. That's the jnana response. I renounce it all. No longer interested in material life. The renunciation response, or we might say a sour grapes response. But then his friends have told him, they're very philosophical. They say, no, it's just not your karma right now. So they're using some Vedic philosophy, reflection. Your karma will change soon. Once your karma changes, then you'll be successful and victorious again. You just need to keep trying. And so with that philosophizing of his friends, Jarasandha, it's closer to his demoniac nature anyway. He decides to continue attacking Mathura. We see that he ends up giving this advice later on to Rukmi and Shishupal. When Krishna kidnapped Rukmini in front of all the kings, then Shishupal was very, very disappointed. Rukmi went out to try to, they all rode out to try to defeat Krishna, but they were unsuccessful. And so then Jarasandha said, don't worry, it's just not our time right now. Previously, I tried to defeat Krishna and I wasn't successful, but then in the end I was. On the 18th time, Krishna ran away from the battlefield. Patient, you'll have your time as well. In this way, we can also use philosophy to reinforce or justify our attempts at materialism and our attempts to take the position of God, of the supreme enjoyer. So 18 attacks, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says 18 different samskaras. Despite suffering defeat every time, Jarasandha persistently attacks Mathura, confronting Krishna and Balaram. Similarly, you and I, in our countless lifetimes, we have endeavored to enhance our material circumstances, only to face inevitable defeat every time. Every single time, every single lifetime, we were defeated by disease, old age, and death. And yet we come back at it. Next life, next body, next strategy. We again make our effort to become the supreme enjoyer. And so there's nice lessons for us here to relinquish our faith in the material nature, to relinquish our faith in material processes, to relinquish our faith in material strategizing and seek refuge in Krishna, in the spiritual path of devotional service. Krishna, who defeated Jarasandha's much larger armies, demonstrating the dominance, superiority of spiritual power, spiritual potency over material strength. Jarasandha's trust is in his material might, and his repeated defeats, they should give us pause to consider the fallacy of this belief. All the material resources in the world will not guarantee our victory over material nature or other souls or over the Supreme Soul. Aligning ourselves with Krishna's purpose will ensure our triumph. We see the same dynamic in the Kurukshetra battlefield. Duryodhana had the superior army. At the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he's bragging to his teacher, Drona, just see the, all the great kings who have come to fight for me. Just see my armies led by the great Bhishma and Kripa. Duryodhana is very pleased with his army. He's certain that they're going to win. But then when the conch shells blow, Panchajanya Hrishikesho Devadatta Dhananjaya Pondram Dagnamaha Shankam Bhimakarma Vikodara. Krishna blew his Panchajanya, Arjuna blew his Devadatta, and the other Pandavas specifically are mentioned by name, and their conch shells are mentioned by name, striking terror in the hearts of Duryodhana and his associates. An indicator. Here we have an indicator, celestial weapons coming to support Krishna. There in the Gita also there's an indicator. The point for us, the superiority of spiritual power, spiritual potency, spiritual purpose, spiritual alignment, and how much of that do we have in our lives? How much of that is guiding our decisions, our purpose, our activities? How aligned are we with Krishna's purpose? Or how much are we holding on to a faith in the fallacious, the fallible soldiers of materialism? So I will conclude there. Thank you for this opportunity. Any questions or reflections? This is
I
how,
have a question.
please.
What are the 18 different samskaras?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Generally, we say, Prabhupada, he mentions Nasa Vidha Samskara, 10 samskaras, but there are different lists depending on which scripture you're looking at. So there are lists of 30 samskaras and so on. But I will tell you the primary samskaras. So Jata, no, let's start with, okay, we'll start Vivaha Samskara, that's marriage. Then there is Garbhodana Samskara, the placing of the uh, the the, um, the conception. Then there's Pumsavana Samskara for the well-being of the child in the womb. So that's 3 so far. Then there is um, Jata Karma Samskara, that's the birth of the child. Nama Karna, naming of the child. There is Anaprashna, giving the first grains to the child. There is Chudaramba, piercing the ears of the child. Vidyaramba, learning the Chudaramba. What did I say? There is the first day of being taught the alphabets, so being initiated into the Veda. So that's called Upanayana Samskara. That also is the day of entering into the school, Gurukula. Then there is a graduation, which is when one is bathed. It is called. Sanskrit is escaping my mind. Snataka Samskara. So that's
Okay,
9.
so
I've given you 9
yes.
of 10 main samskaras. So they're different life passages or rites of passage. And they're for the purification of the soul or the invoking of auspiciousness for the for our life, different life stages, life's development. The 10th would be Antyeshti, when we die, then the body is burned, cremated. So Dasa
Okay.
Vidha Samskar, 10 Vedic samskaras. They're good. They are, important purificatory processes. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's point is they're not transcendental. So invoking auspiciousness at different life stages is important and helpful, but we shouldn't put all of our faith there. If we're just putting our faith in the Vedic sacrifices, it's not enough. Our faith should be in Krishna. Those samskaras, they are practiced by Vaishnavas and non-Vaishnavas alike. Anyone in the Vedic world will be inclined towards those samskaras. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, don't rely on this. Even demons who have faith in the Vedic world, they will undertake these. But we need to take shelter of Krishna. That's the higher purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Sripad. Can we disregard those samskaras? Can we write them off, thinking that this is Kali Yuga, Maha Mantra is the only one that works, and everything else is just ritual and can be neglected? Is that a good attitude?
Yeah. So most of us, we were not conceived with Garbhodana Samskar. We didn't have Namakarna. We didn't have Chudaramba, Vidyaramba. We didn't have any of those. So your question is, can we do without them? And the answer is absolutely. You can, any of us, from a Vedic perspective, we are outside of Vedic culture. We haven't been purified by the important samskars. And so we're not qualified. that would be a Vedic attitude. But Krishna consciousness transcends these. Vaishnava, the position of Vaishnava supersedes. Prahlad Maharaj tells us in the Bhagavatam, he's born in a family of demons. So he would have had some scars, but even so, he's born in a family of demons. When he's told by Brahma, you approach the Lord, he says, look, I'm just 5 and I'm a demon. What's my qualification to approach the Lord? And he says that, Krishna Nrsingadev, I'm very hesitant to approach you and to speak to you. I don't have the qualification. And he says, but I know that your devotees are beloved by you, that you love your devotees, and that in your eye, the devotee, the Vaishnava, is superior even to the Brahmana with 12 qualities. And Lily is going to ask me, what are the 12 qualities? And I can't remember specifically. But that's what Prahlad says. Superior even to the Brahmana, decorated with those 12 qualities like compassion, truthfulness, austerity, and so on. And so the Vaishnava, as we aspire to be Vaishnavas, and we say, well, that supersedes. Now, if you're a Vaishnava couple bringing a child into the world, you will want all good for them, right? And so if the opportunity is there to give them those that opportunity of receiving these Vedic samskars, we chant the mantras with Vishnu names, with names of the Lord. Our acharyas have given us the mantras to perform these rites with a Vaishnava, with prayers as a Vaishnava to Krishna to bless a child. So why wouldn't we? So the answer is not necessary, but if you're going to have children, then why not, if you want the best for your children? And one of them is marriage. So you say, oh, no, we just chant Hare Krishna. So then your marriage will also be, no, we just chant Hare Krishna. But no, you will actually be interested in a proper ceremony. And, we invest energy and resources to have a nice ceremony. It's good for the mind. It helps the couple feel that they are committed to one another. We invite family and friends to come and give their blessings. Senior devotees to come and bless. Krishna's name is invoked to bless. And so, yeah, we're interested in that for our family, for our marriage. Then we can apply that also in relation to our child's development and supporting them in their development in the world.
Thank you for a wonderful answer. Very satisfactory.
Thank you.
Okay, dear devotees, it's your turn. Srimad Bhagavatam is questions and answers. Srimad Bhagavatam is also voice crack. Adi Puja, who is the voice crack? Unmute yourself, unmute.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay?
I hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful question and answer, that Krishna is so amazing that when we go through these, as Prabhu referred to them, rites of passage, marriage is a classic example, and it's a milestone or an event in somebody's life, and so Krishna arranges that there are religious activities connected to the birth of a child or a wedding, and making these events into, for example, even ordinary materialistic people, they like the idea of going to the church for the wedding. It's so, the dressing up and the music and the ceremonies involved, but in the presence of the Lord, and for the pleasure of the Lord, and for the sake of uplifting society by sanctifying these moments, like the birth of a child or the wedding. Krishna is amazing how he's saying, okay, they're attracted to this, so let's just add Krishna. Let's add worship. Let's have an opportunity for coming to a holy place together, for hearing the hymns, and for saying the prayers, and for having a little philosophical discourse. There's always like a little sermon invoked at a ceremony, where some piece of Vedic wisdom can be imparted to those that are gathered together. So Krishna is so wonderful that he adds that, like you add salt to a preparation, he sprinkles in a little holiness, even in something that people would do ordinarily, like getting married. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about praying to Krishna Prabhupada what to say about how this Jarasandha is attacking the holy city and Krishna directly, and how there's so many passages in the Shastra referring to the spiritual warfare. And Prabhu was mentioning them. We are also under attack. And if you're playing chess or you're playing tennis or you're playing baseball or football, there's a defense, a strategic examination of how the attack is coming and how to defend yourself against it. So Prabhupada says that the attack on the devotees, the way Maya, we had an interesting discourse about Maya yesterday, where Maya attacks us, one of the things we must defend very carefully is Maya erodes our sadhana. First thing, do away with that japa. Do away with going to the temple. Do away with taking time for worship.
The first one is unoffered cookie. That's where it all starts.
That's another one, yeah. But that's our part of our sadhana. That's part of our offering to Krishna. So, it might not be exactly a frontal attack, but it's an erosion of the things that sustain us and fortify us. Vaishya Shekhar was always saying, we must fortify our intelligence by exposing ourselves to Shastra. We must fortify our intelligence so that we can stand up against the pushings of the mind and senses by absorbing ourselves in hearing Krishna's instructions. So these things we have to be careful to guard against, well, I don't have to go to the program today. Well, I don't have to chant my rounds today. I don't have to chant all my rounds, or, I don't have to go to class, right? So this is where we might be attacked, and this is what can be helped. If we understand where the attack is coming, we can be more determined to protect that area that's going to be minimized. I'm talking too much. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna.
Hey ho, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for those reflections. I see Bhima Bhima, you have your hand raised?
It's not a hand, it's a glove. It's a big, big glove.
That's a glove.
Yes.
Okay.
Run
Bhima,
up
you
to
have your
to
glove
the
raised?
Yeah, there
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, we see your glove.
Haribol Prabhu.
Oh,
So wonderful to hear your class. There's a certain and excuse my lack of knowledge. What is it called? What are these rituals
samskar.
called? First
Yeah,
of this and first of
samskar.
that? Samskars. Okay, so grooves in the consciousness. Um, uh, could you expand on the idea that really there are only two samskars, and that is when one comes to understand that the material world is not worth trying to make it in, that our ambitions and aspirations, materially speaking, are vain. That's like a huge point in someone's life where you kind of step back and see the vanity of it all. And then, of course, that second samskara, which is most important, that you're going to stick it out anyways, but this time for Krishna. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, well, thank you. So I like how you're taking the word samskar now literally as an impression on the consciousness. Because, yeah, we say 10 samskaras or 18 or 32, but actually everything we do is create an impression or a samskar on the consciousness. And many of them will be negative. We call them traumas, something that we've gone through, some stressful event,
Seems a
post-traumatic.
shame we're so close.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhu, I'm gonna mute you before you close.
So some kind of trauma that we go through, and it becomes a samskara, and we take a certain meaning from it, we interpret it a certain way, and then it serves to shape or mold our personality and our life's choices. And so different significant life events, they create very powerful samskaras. The idea of the Vedic samskaras is to create positive ones. So rather than traumatic events that make us dysfunctional, the idea of a Vedic samskara is let's choose an auspicious time to create an auspicious experience that has a positive impression on the consciousness and leads to healthy, well-integrated personal development and well-being. Bhima, you're taking the idea further as a philosophical insight or life-changing insight or realization. And you have brought it to two in particular. I haven't heard necessarily those, those two specific insights, but they are very powerful. One that that material existence is my identification with the material body and with material existence, and my investment in the material energy as my source of happiness is not serving me well. It's not fulfilling me, and it's ultimately set up for failure. That's a powerful insight. And then the other that you said was the determination that no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to remain a devotee of Krishna. Those are very powerful. I don't know where you get those two specific from, but yes, I would say that those are really powerful insights and decisions. They're like life decisions that we commit to, and that hold us steady in spiritual practice.
Shukla, Prabhu, do you have a few minutes to stay after darshan? Vivaya
Sure.
has
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah.
Don't change anything, Adi Purusha, Prabhu. Turn the camera. Turn it to the deities. Turn the camera off. Turn the camera around. We're good. We're good. We can hear. We can see you. Yeah. Keep turning.
I'm trying to do the background.
No, you're good. You're good, Adi. You're good. You're good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Oh, wow. Look at the Pujari room. Okay, there. Shri Shiva Namuladar Ki Jai. Camera's on if you can, please.
said it's not set up by receiving meaning.
which is also auspicious.
Isn't that they can see it or not?
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Sripad Prabhu, he's still here? Yeah, he's here. Lilia, you wanted to, you had your hand raised.
I just had a question on, I guess the dates, because I have read some of the Mahabharata, and they talk about, sorry, baby, and they talk about how they would decide to leave to somewhere on a specific day of the moon. And I was wondering if like those dates or like those, mami, espérate, por favor. Sorry, guys. There was yeah, I was asking if that still applies to this day, and where do people get those like dates or
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the quality of time. There is also in the Vedic understanding of things, there's a recognition that every time has its quality or potency. And so the particularly the priests, they were very adept at looking at the stars and understanding the positions of the planets and what types of activities are most favorable for which types of planetary configurations. And so for different samskars, it's linked to the discussion around samskars, right? For different samskars, then it's recommended it should be done when this star is prominent and this asterism and this planetary alignment is there. And it shouldn't be done when inauspicious stars or planets are positioned in the high heaven. So that is a Vedic science. Any Vedic astrologer will be able to tell you that information, and any book on samskara will indicate which stars are most favorable for which samskaras to be performed. In terms of passing, so in the Mahabharata, then Bhishma was waiting for the sun to move into the northern direction before he left this world. That's called Uttarayana, when the sun travels in the northern direction for 6 months, and when it travels in the southern direction for 6 months, it's called Dakshinayana. So generally, generally marriages don't happen when the sun is traveling in the southern direction 6 months of the year. During the 6 months when it's traveling in the northern direction, marriages will happen because the demigods are available to bless. And when their sun is in the south, because the Earth, 1 year earthly of earthly time is 1 day of demigod time. So the 6 months that the sun is traveling in the north, we just had Makar Sankranti in January. So when that's during that period, the demigods are awake. And during the 6 months when the sun travels in the south, then the demigods are resting. Those are the considerations. In terms of bhakti yoga, chanting of the holy name, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says you can chant at any time. Na kaleniya makara. Says chanting can happen anytime. It's all auspicious. Even if the time is inauspicious, it will be made auspicious by the holy name. Other rituals, they depend on the auspiciousness of the time to give the full benefit, but the holy name doesn't. It will override the inauspiciousness to create auspiciousness. And therefore, whatever time we choose for any ritual, make sure the holy name is there to make things fully auspicious, because the holy name is independent. Bhakti yoga is independent of such considerations. Does that help? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bhima Prabhu, is that a hand? Are you raising a hand? No. Is that Kubja? You pet in Kubja, the tractor? Okay.
Jeffrey's going to put not medically qualified on his resume.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm feeding Kubja.
Feeding Kubja.
Feeding Kubja. Is that your horse?
Prabhu,
Yeah.
we know that Mahavishnu breathes out. We are in this material world, and when he breathes in, it's a dissolution of material existence. This is one breath, and Mahavishnu is an expansion of Krishna himself. So all these rituals, these samskaras that we go through, aren't they all very trivial compared to just chanting the name or reading Krishna's pastimes, considering that an expansion of an expansion breathes in and we're gone, and breathes out and we take birth again?
Sure. And anything can be trivial in that sense. We drive in a car, we go to the bank, we go it's all trivial. We are conditioned souls in the material world, identifying with material bodies. It's trivial in the greater scheme of things. The opportunity for Vedic teaching and ritual, particularly when the devotees offering it to Krishna, is to get stuck and align consciousness and intention with higher purpose and higher guidance. So yeah, in the greater scheme, trivial, but significant in our individual lives. And I would say significant in Krishna's view, because he sees a soul that has been turned away from him, turning the face back from being Bahir Mukha, turned away to being Sumukha, seeing Krishna's own face. And so very significant in Krishna's view. He can expand himself between every of 16,108 gopis and be with each one of them individually. Similarly, he expands himself to be with every queen, and he is personally involved and intimately involved with their day-to-day dealings. Similarly, he can be personally involved in all of our lives, despite our being one of billions or I don't know, the inestimable number of souls. But he can and will be personally involved in our lives. That is Krishna.
Thank you, Shubha, for the wonderful class, for the wonderful Q&A session. Thank you. We really appreciate and treasure your association and your realization.
Yeah, just let me say that on Saturday we have a Lila Kirtan performance during Soul Talks. It'll be Kirtan with drama and some dance as well. So that'll be at the Bhakti Center.
What time and what date again?
Yeah, Saturday, Soul Talks at the Bhakti Center. We're doing a kirtan / storytelling / drama performance on the life of, or the last 7 days of King Parikshit.
Oh, nice. Wow. Sounds cool. Thank you, Shipra. Thank you. That was the paid promotion from Shipra. And we're wishing you a wonderful day. Thank you for being here. Drive safely for Krishna. Don't take it as something trivial. If it's done in devotional service, that makes all the difference in our life, like Shipra said. So see you again tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Bye-bye.